Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Dream Life Loading channel. My name is Skye.
And I'm Susan. So let's just get this off with a normal little chat. How are you today, Sky?
Susan, I am so good today. I feel like that last week was a 2023 trial run, and that trial run for me meant a week-long migraine, and I spent it really recouping and relaxing and just resetting. And so today, we're recording this on January 9th. So today, Monday, January 9th, this is my beginning of 2023, and it has been the most perfect beginning to the year. How are you, Susan?
I'm so good. I actually can't agree with that more. I didn't have a week long migraine last week. However, I just felt like I was going through the motions, but nothing really felt like it was, I don't know, ready. I think everyone has this expectation that January 1st is going to be come around and your whole life is going to change. And then when it doesn't, it's very anticlimactic and almost deterring in a way. You're like, well, okay, the first week was kind of is this like the tone for the rest of the year? And absolutely not. We've been voice messaging all morning because we've just been talking about how good we feel and how today feels like such a good start to the year. And I think that's the sentiment of Dream Life Loading is like you can start anytime. Like you don't have to start on a Monday. You don't have to start on the first of the year. You don't have to start on the first of the month. Like you can just start today by being happy and highlighting those happy moments in your life.
Yep.
So, without further ado, why don't we talk about habits and how we apply that in our lives?
I think our energy today, like we picked this topic before we knew how good today was going to be, and our energy is based
On
around
that.
the habits that we make. Like our habits and our routines are so good. And are they perfect? No, we're still loading. We're still working to make
Working on it.
better every single day, but it's so good and it's because of our habits. So, spending today's episode talking about habits for a dream life could not be more fitting.
And we can talk about something that we're releasing that will help you with your happiness. I'm excited about that. Okay, let's just start and then we'll make them wait a little bit before we tell them.
I think so. I started reading Atomic Habits by James Clear because of Susan's recommendation. I started this literally 2 days ago, maybe 3 days ago, and it has changed the game for me already, literally two chapters in. And I think somewhere to start with this topic about habits is we were talking about this earlier today, outcome based habits versus identity based habits.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I'm okay. So maybe I should use an example and then we'll kind of backtrack. So like if someone comes up to you and offers you a candy bar. There's two people, they come up to you and they say, do you want this candy bar? And the first person says, no, I'm trying to cut back on sugar. And the next person says, no, I don't eat sugar. So these two people both used to eat a ton of sugar and are trying to stop. The one person that said, I'm trying to stop, still identifies themselves as someone who eats too much sugar. Versus the second person has decided, nope, I don't eat sugar. No, that is not who I am. So, this identity based habit is deciding this is who I am. So, my habits are going to form because I've decided that this is who I'm going to be, versus an outcome based habit, which is like, I want to do this or I want to be this person. So, it's really all manifesting. Like, it all goes back to that mindset.
And it's choosing who you are and who you want to be and showing up as the person you want to be before you necessarily are them. And I think that we were just talking about this today. Like you see videos, you read about things saying like talk about yourself as you already have it. And like that's great. Like those words are coming into my brain, but it didn't really like sink in and saturate until you, Sky, rephrased it and were like gave me that example. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm a YouTuber, I'm a business owner, I'm an influencer, like all the things that I already am or I'm working towards, just because you're in the beginning phases of something doesn't mean that it takes any value away from it. You don't need years of experience to own what you are or what you want to be.
You could literally be doing something for one day. You can claim that as your identity. If that's who you want to be, go for it. And I think that kind of goes back to goals too and Dream Life Loading as a whole. Like I we want this YouTube channel to have so many more subscribers because we want to build our community, but that doesn't mean we're not already doing it now. And our
Right.
goal is never going to stop. We're not going to hit a certain number and be like, okay, we're done making videos. Like we did what we wanted. Like, not at all. We're just going to keep pushing. So, why not start now by saying that we already are doing it, because we are. Just because our following isn't as big as it will be doesn't mean that we're not already doing it. And I think
That's
that's
the
identity based.
Absolutely. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned. Probably my biggest flaw, arguably one of them, was waiting to love myself or waiting until I had this to do this. So I wasn't like, this is a perfect example. I'm going to start hosting monthly parties with my friends, like cute dinner parties. I was waiting until I had a house to do that. And I'm like, why am I waiting to have a house? Like I have a beautiful apartment that I can host an intimate dinner party. Like just stop waiting to have the thing that you love. Like this morning, I romanticized my bowl of cereal and it tasted so much better. Like it's just little things. And I think that's where this whole episode is leading us to, is that the life changes happen in your habits, in your daily routines, and what you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. So if you're having cereal every day, but you're making it like the fanciest bowl of cereal, like you're gonna naturally be happier. And I think that's the whole purpose of having a dream life, is to be happy. I think that's the ultimate goal. At least that's the goal for me, is just to genuinely be happy. And choosing the habits that work for you is gonna do that. And you can have that today, you can have that tomorrow. You just have to appreciate what you already have.
Small habits form big changes. That's Dream Life Loading. That is exactly what you're saying. That's our brand. That's everything we live by. So, yeah, I mean, the habit, that's the base. That's how you start everything.
So let's take the big idea of like habits being life changes and break it down into like examples of what we do, because I think that'll be a little bit easier to
Mhm.
digest.
And it's
So
all
what
about being attainable. That's what we were talking about on the Instagram today, too, is like pick a goal, but then, okay, so one example I gave to someone was they want to start reading. It was like, well, okay, make a goal to read 5 pages a day. That'll form a habit way faster than saying I want to read a book, because when are you going to start? How are you going to start? So yeah, let's
Okay, pick one of your favorite habits, because I think all of these just make me so excited to talk about. So just choose a favorite and we'll go from there.
think gua sha. I'll start with gua sha because this is something that has become a habit for me, but it's a very new habit because it was something that I wanted to do for a while and wasn't consistent about it. And the second I started being consistent, and it's now a habit. It's something I do every single morning. And so I actually just recently bought, I have like a rose quartz gua sha, and I had been doing more research, and that actually is another piece of a habit too. If you spend time talking about your habits and researching them and putting time and energy and sometimes even money into them, you're going to do them more and you're going to be more likely to create the habit from it. So anyways, I had read that a stainless steel or a metal gua sha is better because it doesn't hold bacteria like a rose quartz one could. So I recently ordered that. It hasn't arrived yet, but eye gua sha I just kind of do like here and on my cheekbones, and like all, like you can look up TikToks and all the things to figure out like what works best for you, but I notice it makes a big difference, especially in sinus pressure too. I know that isn't the main point, but it's also a nice little like self-care moment in the morning. So yeah, gua sha for me is a great habit that I've formed.
I get super, super dry skin in the winter, and I've always struggled with it because I was like moisturizing too late after I look like a snake and my face is falling off. And this habit has changed my whole skin care routine because I'm moisturizing every morning and every night. And my sinuses, oh, like feeling that
Mhm.
stuff drain out of my face in the morning is such a game changer. I can breathe. I'm not snotty and gross all day. Like I just feel so much better.
And it,
And you get a snap jawline. Like
yeah,
you can't complain about that.
there's so many benefits. And I know we've talked about, I remember you specifically said that a goal for 2023 was to build a skincare routine. And it's the ninth. And look at what you're already doing. Like you're already changing, it's like these little habits, and now you're forming and reaching your goals. So it's so cool.
Okay, I'm gonna have to still create a routine because we all know I love my morning routine, and now I love my night routine just as much. I When we had our night routine like original post on YouTube, I was like, I want to work on it, but I don't know what to do. And now I have a routine that is bulletproof. Like even Chris knows my routine, and it like signifies to him like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed. She's gonna clean for 10 minutes, and then she's gonna like do her face, and she's gonna fill up our humidifier, and then she's gonna come to bed. And he just like, now him and Maggie have their own routine. I start cleaning, he takes the dog out, he goes to bed, and then he's already in bed when I get there. And it's just so funny because those are small habits that built that routine. So this is my new favorite habit of 2023 is my 10-minute cleanup before bed. It has made such a difference in my like clarity in the morning, my attitude, because there's nothing worse than getting up and being surrounded by like a mess. That's just so hard to navigate. And then it gives you like 20 other things that you're thinking about. Like, I have to do the dishes, I have to do this and that. By cleaning up at night, you're setting yourself up with a clean slate in the morning. And it just feels so good. Like, I was just walking down my hallway to come record this, and I was like, wow, like our house is so clean. That feels so good. And so much gets done. And like, it's only 10 minutes. I have a playlist that I play, it's 4 songs. It's not long at all, but it makes such a difference because you're doing something every single day. And I'm noticing that I'm doing things for that beforehand. So like after dinner, instead of like letting the dishes sit, I do the dishes right away because that takes up my 10 minutes at night. And there's other things that I'm like, oh, I could do this, I could do that. And it's just so exciting and such a like easy way to unwind at night. And my body already knows like I'm gonna do this and then I'm gonna go to sleep. So I'm in the process of unwinding. I'm sleeping so much faster when I actually get to bed.
And that's one of the most amazing things about a routine is that your body learns. And like you were saying, your husband and your dog also learned from your routine and started creating their own habits from it. But your body learns too. Like, yeah, your mind is saying, like, this is our routine and we're going to do this. But your body is going to learn if it hasn't already. I know it has with your morning routine. Like, this is what we do. And you don't even have to think about it. And you're doing all these amazing things without even thinking or without even thinking twice about it.
Last night I put like I did all of my routine and then I had laundry and I if you know me, I hate laundry. My husband is a saint because I will just let a pile get literally as tall as me and then I'll take care of it. I just don't like to do it. So this year I've been prioritizing putting it away when it's done. And so the laundry went off as I was finishing my skincare routine last night and I was like, I'm just going to do it right now. Chris had already fallen asleep. So I was like, sweet. So I put away all my laundry. I set out my outfit for today, which I don't usually do because I keep all of my workout clothes in the bathroom. So I'm not like ruffling through stuff with when Chris is sleeping. And just having my outfit set up, when I woke up this morning, I was like, my morning's going to be so easy. And it was. It was so easy. I was in such a good mood. I haven't stopped dancing all day. Like, just set yourself up for success. Make your own life easier. It's gonna just give you so much more time in the day.
Yep. Yeah, you set yourself up for success. I think that's the whole thing. And there's nothing worse than if you have, even if you have a fantastic day, a bad day, whatever it is, if you wake up the next morning and you have dishes or a mess or dirty cups or like trash, whatever it is, left over from the day before, you're still stuck in that day. Like you need to wake up and be in a new day. So you need to do the extra 10 minutes at night to set yourself up for having a fresh start, whatever
It
that means.
also can that can also be an endless pit of resentment
Yeah.
because if you leave, let's say you live with someone, if we didn't do the dishes the night before, I'm gonna wake up and the first thing I'm gonna think is, well, he could have done the dishes last night. And then I'm already planting like a negative seed towards my husband who did literally nothing wrong this morning. So I just think, oh, it does. You're so right. It sets you up for success.
Yeah. I think that kind of segues into thought correction, which is not a physical habit like these other two. So I think it's kind of a nice transition
Yeah.
too. So thought correction, talk us through it.
I started thought correction last year when literally every single thing I thought was negative. I was miserable. I was so anytime I like walk past a mirror, I was terrible to myself. I was ripping myself apart. I was driving to work and I'm just literally, long story short, miserable. And I was like, I can't live like this. And I remember I was probably like 8 or 9. And I remember my dad talking about me to his friend. And he said, she's just the happiest kid I've ever met. And I was like, I'm not that person anymore. And I want to be that person again. So I think I saw it on Pinterest. Doesn't matter. I saw it somewhere online. And it was like thought correction. And it was like, for every negative thought you have, replace it with 3 positive ones. And that was literally impossible for me at the time, which is so sad to admit now. But so I instead of doing that, I replaced it with 3 things I was grateful for. It's very easy to look around you and 3 things you're grateful for. I'm breathing, I have a roof over my head, I'm warm. Like just find 3 basic things that are around you that you can quantify and put them in your brain. And then the more you do it, the more gratitude you're going to have in your attitude. And it just makes such a difference. So now, even like last week, I had, let's just get real here for a minute. Last week, I was hormonal. And every time I walk by the mirror, I was like, ew. And then I was like, no, Susan, like we don't do that anymore. And so I would replace them with three positive thoughts. And you know what? This morning I woke up and my hormones are regulated, and I've never felt more confident, like more beautiful. Like I'm in the gym doing my thing and I'm just like, wow, like look at me. And I think that was because of last week. I wasn't being nice. So I was combating it with all this positivity, and that just radiated on through until this week. And it
I'm
makes such a
I'm not even going to try and add to that because everything you said is so perfectly said and you're so right, and I've noticed the exact same things, and it is such a big difference when you speak to yourself and you speak about yourself positively. And I think I'm not going to get the wording right on this, but it was something like your voice and your mind and thoughts and actions, everything is what your brain hears the most. Like whether you talk to your husband the most or whoever you talk to the most, you're still hearing your voice the most. So make it a happy place. Like make your thoughts and make the words that are coming out of your mouth happy, because that's what you're going to become and that's what you're going to believe. So if you're walking around saying or thinking like I don't like the way or I look or I hate my job or I hate this or I'm sad, I'm pissed off, whatever it is, like those things, like if you are having a bad day or whatever, like I'm not saying that you can't be valid in those feelings, but change the mindset. Say something positive if it's completely unrelated to what's making you upset, and that's what you're going to focus on. That's what you're going to become.
Can I just give you my spiritual favorite right now? Because it totally
Yeah.
relates.
Yep.
Okay, so I saw this thing and it was like, if you're looking for validation, validate yourself. If you're looking for kindness, be kind to yourself. Like pretty much anything you need, if you need an attaboy, like a pat on the back, like just give it to yourself. And I've applied this. I started last week because it was from the Happiness Project book that we both read. And I started applying it with Chris because I found that when I was the most frustrated with him, it wasn't him. It was that he wasn't giving me a high five or a like thank you. And he says thank you a lot. It's not that this man is not grateful, because he's very grateful. But it was little things like that I was doing for him that he wasn't congratulating me on, that was just building up, and I was getting so mad. And so I was like, why am I looking for his validation? And I didn't not just with Chris, but I've looked for validation from my teachers, my parents, like pretty much anyone important in my life. I want them to validate me. And I was like, I don't I love everyone in my life, but I don't need their validation anymore. And I'm not going to apologize for that. That's okay. So, my spiritual favorite for this week is validating myself and telling myself what I want to hear. Because why am I waiting for someone else to like read my mind and tell me what I want to hear when I can just do it myself?
Yep.
2023 me.
It's literally perfect. Yeah. I'm nothing to add. It's
Hold
perfect.
on. Journaling.
Yeah, we have to talk about it. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but it has to be mentioned.
So a couple weeks ago, we did a video, and I brought this out, and I think I had the revelation like literally while we were recording. This is a journal I bought 5 years ago in Italy, which is ironic that you live in Italy now. And I was waiting for something like monumental. I legitimately was gonna save this for my firstborn child, because that's just where I was at. Like they're gonna be the most momentous thing in my life, and I'm just gonna hold on to this for them. Nope, sorry. This is for 2023 me. And I've been journaling it every single day, and I'll tell you what, it's shaping up to be a good year because I'm using the thing that I said was being saved for the biggest time of my life, and I'm guaranteeing it's the biggest time of my life. And I don't have any rules. My handwriting's messy in this. Guess what? I don't care. I'm getting my thoughts out, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing to let go of the need for everything to be perfect, because it is perfect the way it is.
And the
That's my
lesson there of like stop waiting for something better like goes back to what we talked about 15 minutes ago in this episode. Like the better is now. Like it's perfect. I'm so glad that you are using that journal because it's beautiful and it deserves to be used.
I can't wait to give that full journal to my firstborn child and
There
tell
you
them.
go. Yeah, journaling, it's a habit that we both do every day. I think it can seem really daunting. We have so much information about how to journal, how to start journaling. Even if you literally write 5 sentences, like I know it can seem a lot when you see like how much Susan writes or how much I write or how much someone you follow on TikTok writes. Like you don't have to write that much, but you might start and then realize you've written 3 pages. I know I had a friend who started journaling this year 2023, and she was like, I was amazed by how much I put on the page. It's like your brain has so much to say if you just give your brain the opportunity to say it.
And journaling, I want this like as a note. Journaling is a muscle. It's muscle memory. The more you do it, the longer stamina you'll have with it. The more you do it, the easier it's going to get. It's just like any other habit. That's it. Habits is muscle memory. Or
Yeah.
are. Habits are muscle memory.
Yeah. If you couldn't tell, Susan and I are both caffeinating currently, which I noticed, which is dangerous for us. But it's also, we are running on like such a natural high today. And I noticed we're both talking like 3 times as fast as we usually do. So it's
Enjoy.
so good.
But the best part is that we had this like energy going in our voice messages this morning,
Oh,
and
yeah.
neither of us were caffeinated. And I think we just proved to ourselves that no, we don't need caffeine, but it's the afternoon and we want that extra jolt. We want to make this vibe last. So here we are.
Yep. An easy one. Start your day with water. I started doing this. I had been using Bloom the greens over the summer and I'm obsessed with them, but I can't get them easily here. So instead of starting my day with a cup of my green water, I just started doing a glass of water because it's like I'm sure there's still benefits there. And it makes a huge difference. It's like you're already hydrating first thing in the morning before coffee, before food, before anything. So, yeah, start your day with water. It's an easy thing to check off the list too. Like you make your bed, check, you've done something productive. You drink a glass of water, check, productive. Like little easy things to make yourself feel productive and you are doing something good for your body.
And it's so good for you. It's good for your hair, your skin, the way you feel. Like if I don't have my glass of water while I'm at the gym, so I drink one of these like before slash while I'm at the gym. If I don't, I feel so nauseous and I feel disgusting.
Yeah.
It's it's just a must. It's a non-negotiable for us.
Water. Yep, easy. Read nonfiction.
Okay, yes. Which I think we talk about a lot. I mean, I have a whole stack right here, which I'm happy to show you. The Source of Self-Regard, amazing. Fear is My Homeboy. This is a really good intro one if you are like just getting into nonfiction. It's actually guided, so you can, well, I draw on everything, but they have like stop points where she wants you to journal or like answer a question, which is really helpful, especially if you're trying to start journaling or just like self-reflect. Well, this is exhausting, had me laughing out loud, but also being like, oh my gosh, like love this one. How to Get Shit Done. This one's really good too. Obviously, Atomic Habits and The Happiness Project. I haven't read this one yet. I'm very excited about reading this one. And then I have a couple other ones, but those ones are the big ones that I love. And if you're looking to start a business or just wanting to like do more financially, Think and Grow Rich will change the way you think about everything. But those are my top, that's my good stack of like must read self-help books.
And it's a good, like, those are so many, like, if you want to start this habit, there, pick one and you can start it. But it's also, I try and do this in the morning, or it ends up being late morning, early afternoon sometimes if I, by the time I get around to it. But it's a good way to, like, I know for us, we're not in school anymore. So it's a good way to make sure you're always learning and, like, using your brain in those ways and learning new information and processing things in new ways. Like, I know we both do this with the Happiness Project and Atomic Habits for sure. Like things that you do every day, you're going to have a new outlook on if you're reading and you're constantly learning. And it's just, I think nonfiction is really important. And even if it's just a few pages a day, like you don't have to read 20 nonfiction books a year. It's just read one, like learn something, I think is kind of the takeaway.
Absolutely. About food, and then we'll go into other ways of feeding yourself.
Perfect.
Okay, so cook at least one meal every day. I like to meal prep, but I only meal prep for one of our meals. So usually it's a lunch, but now it's kind of backwards. I meal prep my lunches and I still make Chris's lunches fresh because he likes to have salads for lunch while I like to have salads for dinner. Anyways, we have a system that works. And just having like an actual home cooked meal every day is such a game changer. And you appreciate it more. Like when you do something yourself, it's so much more gratifying. And I also, unrelated but kind of related, I learned something about myself last week. And when I'm having a bad day, I want to go out or I want takeout, which I never really like. I kind of knew, but I didn't really know. And it's just so cute that I know that. And Chris was the one I like had thought it. And then later that afternoon, Chris was like, well, you were having a bad day, so I thought you'd want to go out. And I was like, wait, you know that about me? And he was like, yeah, I know that about you. And I was like, well, I just learned that about me. So there we go.
Yeah, I end up cooking most of our meals just with our schedule. Or I got not most of our meals, most of our dinners because of Nick's schedule. So it makes like going out or getting takeout a little bit more special because it's not something that we can do all the time for like schedule reasons or money reasons, obviously. And like eating at home is cheaper, it's healthier, and like it doesn't have to be a fancy meal by any means. Like you can boil pasta and like throw some sauce on it, and that is a you've cooked that, like you've done it. So it's kind of like a nice wind down for me too. I notice like I've been working all day and doing all these things, and you just turn on your show, turn on your music, podcast, whatever, and just cook, and then something to be proud of at the end of the day too. And if you have someone to share it with, or even if you don't, I used to cook for just myself all the time in college, and I'd send pictures to my parents, be like, "Look what I made," and it's a nice little like final like productivity that's like still something you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So going off of that into feeding yourself other things, just feeding yourself positivity. You you are what you eat, but you eat more than food. And I think this was a serious game changer for me because I used to listen to like really depressing music, even if I wasn't listening to the lyrics necessarily. Like just the vibes were sad, and I would only read sad poetry, and I'd only write sad poetry, and like I sit here wondering why I was so sad. And now I only surround myself with happy things, and it's just such a game changer. Like just take the next week to listen and see what's around you. What are you watching? What are you consuming, whether it's on social media? Like social media can be a very quick place to be surrounded by negativity, like anywhere you go. And I found myself being very cautious of that lately. When I'm scrolling, I'm like, oh, that doesn't make me feel good. I'm gonna put that away. Like I even if I scroll onto it and I see it for like half a second, I'm like, that doesn't align with the good vibes I have. Like I just ditch it. And that is something that takes practice and time, but it's gonna make your life so much easier in the long run because then you learn to be selective with what you allow in your life and like what you're going to enable in your life, because if you're sitting in a room have conversations that are terrible or people are tearing people down, that's what you're around, that's who you are. And then if you want to step away from that and then you put yourself in different rooms where the conversations are different and more positive, that's where your life changes. Like it's all in these little habits.
Yeah. I think I the only thing I wanted to add was that this works with people too. And unfortunately, like you might have to make the choice is if you're listening to sad music all the time and it's making you sad, are you surrounding yourself with people that make you sad? Like we've kind of talked about this before too, and I think we could do a whole episode on it, honestly, that like you've said it best that like people are like seasons where some people are not meant to be in your life forever, or maybe you have like friends that are your summer friends or whatever it may be, or family members. It doesn't like you don't owe anyone anything, and if someone's not making you happy or not benefiting positively in your life, get rid of it. Like just like you would with the sad music. Like obviously it's people, it's a little different, like use grace with it, but you deserve to be surrounded by things and people that only positively benefit you.
Okay, so let's do our favorites. I already did my spiritual favorite, so I guess I'll just like recap and then you can do your spiritual and then we'll go back to physical. So my spiritual favorite is I'm giving myself the validation I want and I don't need others to do it. Like if I'm looking for it and I want it, I'm just gonna give it to myself and we're gonna move on.
Yep. I love it. So I kind of have two because I had one and then we were in the episode and I was like, oh my God, how was this not my spiritual favorite? Because I was obsessing about it. So I have two. So, anyways, one is just a paragraph from Atomic Habits that I read it and I immediately sent a voice recording to Susan and I was like, oh, this is dream life loading. Like it must be shared
Yep.
literally everywhere a million times. So I'll just read it. Um, a systems first mentality provides the antidote. When you fall in love with the process rather than the product, you don't have to wait to give yourself permission to be happy. You can be satisfied anytime your system is running. And a system can be successful in many different forms, not just the one you first envision. Like,
That doesn't even need to be followed up.
no, it doesn't. Like, no explanation necessary. It's amazing. My second is a Twitter thread that it's from a psychologist. Her name is Dr. Nicole LePera. we can link this Twitter thread because I don't want to take the time or like I want everyone to be able to appreciate it on their own. But the Twitter thread is titled Why I'll Be Disappointing People in 2023 and You Should Too. And it's basically just allowing yourself to realize that we spend so much time worrying about other people's feelings above our own, and we need to stop doing that. So that's the long story short. This was like literally life changing for me to realize, and I've already started doing it and being like, no, I don't have to have an excuse for why I don't want to do that, or I don't like, you can still care if you're hurting someone. You shouldn't try to actively hurt people, but put your feelings first. So if you don't want to do something, that's okay. You don't need to try and make up some fake excuse. You can just say no.
It is so freeing. I can't even, I practiced this and I put it into motion and I did it for the first time in my life. And I was like, I'm not going to this. I know I said I would. I apologized for the short notice. And that was it. If they're mad about it, they can come to me and I will happily say, like, I couldn't do it. And that's it. Moving on.
Yep.
That's the motto. Moving on. Like, thank you, next.
Yep. Okay. Your physical favorite.
Physical favorite. So Chris and I were acting like a cute little couple we are. And we made our goals on champagne bottles for 2023. And this is just so cute because then we can pop them like when we achieve our goal. And sitting there and working on like we bought 3 bottles of champagne. So it was like, all right, these are the 3 big ones. Like, what do we want to do this year? And it was just such a fun experience. I chose one, he chose one, and then we did one. Like, we obviously agreed on all of them, but like he came up with one idea, I came up with the second one, and then we came up with the third one together. So it was just really fun, and I'm excited to pop my champagne bottles this year.
It's such a nice way because goals aren't always physical. So this is a nice way that when you reach that amazing big goal, because we know you're going to reach it, you can physically like celebrate. And
Celebrate.
champagne
Yeah.
is such a like iconic way to celebrate. So knowing that you get to literally pop champagne for completing that goal, it's I love it. And you
Yep.
wrote it out, so it's there. It's going to remind you of it all the time. It's perfect.
Yep. I love it.
My physical favorite is not something physical, but it's voice recordings. In my mind, texting is out and voice recordings are in for all 2023. I love voice recordings. Susan and I we've been doing this for a while, but I've started doing it with other friends too. And it's like, this is so much more fun because I'm 6 hours ahead, but even if the time difference wasn't a thing, like we're all so busy that we don't have the time to like sit down face to face all the time or physically see each other or whatever it is, but spending that time like hearing each other's voices and hearing the way you're responding to things, and it's so much better than texting for a million reasons. I can't even express it enough. And when you have like a burst of energy or like something you need to share, a voice recording is so much better because they can feel your excitement through the phone, whereas if I text you I can do all caps but it's not going to come across the same way. So voice
And
recordings.
it's such a like special experience to hear your friend processing through something and like getting to that aha moment, but actually hearing it. Like, yes, and I'm the right, like, I'm a writer. I love to write, but
Right.
texting is like, ta ta. Like, I'm going to text you before I call you, but I'm going to voice message you when I actually want to like communicate with you.
Yeah.
I love it. I
Oh yeah.
couldn't agree. Okay, should we talk about what we're launching?
Yes, go into it.
Okay, so we're not going to give you, we're going to make you come back for more because it's not, all the stuff is not here yet. But we have ordered the stuff. We will be mailing actual orders out from my home. So you will get to see us live. Well, me live. I guess you could be live. You could be like virtually live. Packaging orders, and they are notepads, and they are to track your happiness for each day. Okay, so long story short, notepad about happiness. So stay tuned because they're iconic. We put so much time and energy and effort into making this so perfect because, well, it was a big investment to start for a startup, but we also wanted it to be like the most productive use of your time, and you're gonna love it.
And useful. Like you're really going to get something out of this. And that's why we've been talking about this since probably the beginning of Dream Life Loading, if not a couple weeks after our launch date, because we wanted it to be perfect and we wanted it to be something that was so authentic to us as a company, but also something that was, you're going to use this and be like, that actually made a difference for me versus like, okay, it has a cute logo, like great. Like, no, this is gonna make a
It's
difference.
functional. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Okay, so
a big deal for us because it's the first thing that's shipping out from us to you. Like it's
yeah, it actually we might have them in by the next time we record,
oh my
which
God.
is so exciting.
Wow. Oh, and we have to
Okay,
the fact that this goes up on Wednesday, which is launch day. So as of right now, you can go shop the Kind is Never Wrong sweatshirts.
on Wednesdays we wear Kind is Never Wrong and watch our YouTube.
Yep. Perfect.
We love it. Oh, I'm
Love
so excited. Thank you guys so much for another great episode. We love you all. Like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing, and we'll be back next week.